right, this is the Legal Amigo Show, episode 2. We've got Rudy Espinoza with us. He is the CEO of Inclusive Action for the City. It's basically what? A social justice nonprofit. You do all sorts of things, but the mission is about creating local economies, right? In underserved or under-resourced communities. And you do it in a bunch of different ways, right? Research, advocacy, microloans. Um, maybe share a little bit more on that. Welcome.
Yeah,
Welcome.
thank you for having me. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I work at Inclusive Action for the City. We're an economic justice organization, and we believe that our community deserves strong local economies that work for them, and to help the workers and the street vendors and the small businesses that we believe in and that are in our neighborhoods. We believe that we need to use different tools to help them, and so that's why Inclusive Action combines those tools in one place. We have an advocacy team that focuses on policy change. We have a lending team that focuses on getting resources to small businesses, low interest loans, cash assistance, grants. And then we also have an innovation team that is focused on new tools to advance economic justice. We're doing some cool things around real estate acquisition to preserve communities and to help small businesses stay in their neighborhoods, especially those that are facing gentrification. And we're doing a variety of other things, but we really are passionate about fighting income inequality and giving folks an opportunity to live the lives that they deserve.
And that's where we met about 10 years ago on the street vending campaign. It was kind of early
That's
on,
right.
and it started off as an effort in LA, right? And then you got statewide street vending regulation in California.
Yep. Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, it was you say it so easily, like it was
Right.
a
No,
flick
yeah.
of a switch. But when I met you, it was the struggle back then. When I met you, was that we were trying to drum up support, and it's been, now 15 years later, and we're still we there's a legislation we're advancing this year to protect street vendors from ICE. So that work continues, but over the years, we passed two state policies that have created systems for sidewalk vendors, both merchandise vendors and food vendors. And then we also help legalize street vending in Los Angeles. And we that work, as I shared, it continues. And the LA Street Vendor campaign and the partners that we work with are still very much active. It's our WhatsApp channel is very much active every day.
I'm sure. No, I'm sure. Yeah, no, I mean, it was a massive victory, and there was like so much resistance to it. And I mean, I remember that. I was on neighborhood council at the time. I got involved
Mhm.
because my grandfather, my great grandmother made tortillas on the street in El Paso. So there were street vendors. That's how they came up.
Mhm.
And I don't know. It's also like such a huge part of LA's culture. Like bacon wrap hot dogs, strudels. Like who doesn't like a street vendor? Like it's ridiculous that it was being criminalized, that it wasn't properly regulated. So why was there, yeah, so much resistance to getting it done?
I think because it's difficult, I think, well, I think I have a lot of guesses as to why. There's a variety of reasons, I'm sure. On one end, many street vendors are immigrants, many of them are women. The vast majority are very low income, and many of them don't vote because maybe they don't have the privilege of voting for whatever reason. And I think that they are so vulnerable. They're one of the most vulnerable entrepreneurs in our economy. And so I think that it takes a lot for a politician to say, hey, I'm going to advocate for them. And this is going to be a priority when they have other competing interests. So I think that that's one major thing. I think that you say what is, I think, a fact that the majority of Angelinos love street vendors, but there are some big companies and strong lobbying groups that don't. And so I think that those folks have a lot of power and have a lot of resources to fight back on something that's like a working class issue, that's a poor person's issue, like legalizing street vending.
Yeah, I remember when I was on neighborhood council, they said that it was bad for other brick and mortar businesses that were paying,
Yes.
for a lease. And
Yes.
but our response to that was it's just a different product. I mean, you've got, somebody sometimes they want to go into a restaurant and eat there, and other times they want to grab something on the street. It's American.
Totally. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And you know, the other thing that I'll just share the last thing that comes to mind about why it was so hard is that
Yeah.
it's like difficult to develop something brand new, right? And what we were asking the city and the state eventually is to prioritize this segment of the economy, and which means that we had to develop new permit infrastructure. We had to mobilize city departments to reach out to them, reach out to street vendors, to develop education programming for this type of entrepreneur. It required a budget allocation to make this happen, obviously, you know, and so those are things that it's not as easy as saying, I'm going to fix a street light
Mhm.
or I'm going to name this street something different, you know, like those things are much easier than saying, hey, I'm going to develop a whole new city priority and the infrastructure to make it happen.
Right. It's hard to get
Yeah.
anything done at any level of government, and this was something brand new. I mean, there were models from other cities at the time, yes?
Yes, there was models. We were that was one of the big critiques at that time from folks that said it was impossible, was that they're like, that could never happen in Los Angeles. We're too big. And we would cite New York. And New York has its own problems, but we would cite New York as a bigger city that has a street vending permit program. And but you know, you make up excuses, right? And there's always something that comes up. I mean, we heard a bunch of reasons as to why it kept getting pushed. I mean, it took us 10 years to do it, to pass the first policy. So
What I learned about the city is if developers want something, you don't have to comment on this, but also what I learned, what I learned is if developers want something done, it's more likely to get done. And so I hear, yeah, and I hear what you're saying. If you don't have a natural power base, a lobbying group, voters, it's hard. So it's pretty epic what you're able to do. And what did you notice once the regulation passed? What did you notice? A lot of changes? Did and obviously I want to talk to you about what's happening now, but did you notice a lot of improvements, changes in attitudes? Like, did it reap the benefits you expected?
I think yes and no. I mean, the policies that we pass are very imperfect, Stephen. There's still a lot of implementation work to be done. The last state policy we passed was in 2022, and it was a policy that created a new chapter in the health code and the food code for street vendors. It creates a pathway for street food vendors to get their health permit. That was a monumental legislation because the health department permit for any food business, restaurants especially, any restaurateur will tell you how hard it is to deal with the health department.
Uh-huh.
Well, street food vendors had it even worse because they didn't have a chapter in the code that was customized for them or that was like right sized to them. And so we passed that in 2022, and the health departments across the state are still grappling with how to administer it. Um, so I think that those are some of the imperfections of the policy that we're still working out, and there's still a lot of education and getting people on board, bureaucrats on board with this. But there's also good things that have happened, and I was talking to my coworker Doug, who's our VP of policy, and he was part of the he's been part of the campaign for a really long time. Before working with us, he was at Public Counsel, which is one of our dear partners on this effort. And I was telling him, Doug, the attitudes in the public have changed, and even with a lot of elected officials. So now I see that many elected officials want to stand with street vendors,
Mm.
and it's easier. I don't even know. I'm going to get in trouble for saying the word easier, but it is much more. There's more opportunities to build relations with elected officials around street vending and supporting street vendors than it was in the past. We're even seeing, I just came from today, Homeboy Industries had a whole event today to support street vendors. And Homeboy, you know, obviously his values align with many of us, but it's just interesting and cool to see all these different groups coming up to stand up for street vendors. And I think part of it is because of the advocacy work. And I think part of it is because there's a lot of social media attention around what street vendors face. All those things help to change attitudes. And I think that that's amazing. We have a long way to go, but I think things have changed dramatically since 15 years ago when we first started.
That makes sense. That makes sense because I fundamentally believe the human brain is programmable, or another way of saying it is that yeah, we rewire our brains based on what we learn, what we see. Media obviously is like one of the most powerful tools we have to
Hmm.
win hearts and minds. So that makes sense. Would you say that's kind of part of what you got done, like part of like a natural byproduct, I guess?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when when you struggle together with, I think that the key thing is that you can win hearts and minds if you have a if you build authentic relationships with people. And even if you don't agree with them all the time, you can build some camaraderie, and over time, I think that that helps you win hearts and minds, you know. And I feel like a lot of us that were part of that effort, like, built a lot of meaningful relationships, and um, I don't know, even with you, like Steven, like we're not like close buddies, but I'm like, oh, that's, his values align. I remember when he was one of those first allies, and you kind of like pick up and collect friends along the way, and like that's what kind of gets you through to the next challenges, you know.
Yes. How was the homeboy event?
It was great. It was amazing. I mean, they reached out to us about a week ago to talk about the vision for this, event, and like they have their network of people that wanted to help, and they said, "What can we do? Can we'd like to partner with you." And so they partnered with the LA Street Vendor campaign on this, and it was amazing because, Father Greg Boyle has a long history of talking about making sure we're not disposing of people, and we're bringing everybody in. And a lot of the rhetoric right now in our society is like, oh, going after criminals, going after folks that, and obviously that's not even happening with the ICE raids. They're going after law-abiding, good people.
Right.
But, um, Father Greg and Homeboy is talking about, hey, like, we shouldn't be throwing anybody away. Like, we need to bring people in, and it's really cool that they had this idea of supporting. So what they did, just for folks that are not aware, they identified about 10 vendors that were afraid to work. And so the homies worked for them today. And they
That's
set
awesome.
up they closed down a part of the street, the vendors, and so that money that they made today is going to go to those vendor families. And so special, man, it's cool. And there's so many other examples throughout the city of people that are doing cool things to help people right now.
That is so inspiring, right? Because when things really got more aggressive and started accelerating like 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, um, it was hard to see the videos, right? But then so heartwarming, like to see how people from all throughout the community are stepping up. Yeah. So that's
Honestly, it makes me love Los Angeles more. And I was on a call today with some folks from different parts of the country, and they asked us to talk about where we're from and like something surprising, like something that people may not know. And so what I told them was that, hey, you probably know that there's ice raids taking place in LA. But what you may not know, wherever you live across the United States, is how LA is resisting. And
mm-hmm.
like, don't get it twisted. Like, there isn't like we're not burning Waymo cars all the time. Like, it's like those are very isolated, but we are resisting peacefully in really creative ways. And so I told the story. I told the story of the organizations that are doing work to support street vendors. I told them about what we're experiencing. We have a bar, Stephen, down the way that is like doing a special cocktail this month to raise money for the LA Street Vendor Solidarity Fund, which is a fund that we created with our partners to raise money for vendors that are afraid to work. Barney Santos over at Boulevard Market in Montebello, out of his own volition, was like, Rudy, I'm going to design a T-shirt, a no ice T-shirt, and I'm going to sell it. And any money if anybody buys this shirt, I'm going to donate it to you guys to get it out to street vendors. He raised $7,000,
Wow.
with this t-shirt. So there's like all these little things that people are thinking, what can I do to help? And they're leveraging their networks and their skills to support folks. And what I told that group of people today is like, that's what makes LA amazing. And that's what you may not be hearing in the press and across the country, is how Angelinos love each other.
Yeah, right. And we did it during the fires too.
This is the second round this year already. We're just halfway through the year. We did it during the fires too. And it's like, it's insane, but here we are.
So you love, so I love LA. You love LA. So tell me about that. I know you're from here, right? You Boyle Heights, then West Covina, yeah?
Correct.
So
Yes.
so yeah. So what makes you love LA so much? What is it about this town? I know it's home.
I think there's just like there's always something new happening. I think it's like the diversity. It's every part of the city is different. Like you don't get bored here. It's like really hard to get bored in Los Angeles, I think. I
Yeah.
just feel like there's a certain swag that we have in Los Angeles. Like it's a I went with my team last week to the LAFC soccer game, LA Football Club soccer game.
Nice.
And it was like a team outing because the team's been working a lot. And so we're like, oh, we got to just think fun together. And so we went to the game. And I was there and I was waiting in line because it was like Hello Kitty night at the,
Awesome.
the, the
That's
game. And
awesome.
so for folks that are unaware, like LAFC plays at the BMO Stadium, which is in South LA, okay, by USC. And it was Hello Kitty night, Steven. So it was just like packed with people, families, and it was like so diverse. It was like Los Angeles, and people are like waiting in line for their chicken tenders and like they're just having a great time, dude. Like all over the stadium having a good time. And I don't know, I just felt I thought as I was standing in line for my food, yo, this is what the Trump administration is afraid of.
Boom.
They're afraid of like all these beautiful people from different walks of life, immigrants, citizens, families, like that they have different color skin, and they're having a good time and like they're enjoying themselves. And I was just like, this is LA, and this is what they're fighting. Like they don't want this. Like this is for whatever reason it makes them insecure. And I don't know. Like I love LA because of that. You know. I like LA, and I love LA because we are imperfect,
Mm.
because we have so many issues and we're battling with them, and I think that that's what makes us better people, is the contending to the iteration of becoming better, and I think anybody that loves LA here knows that we have issues, but we're still here, we're still locked in trying to figure out how to make it better. So I don't know.
We got to evolve to solve all the challenges we have because we're so diverse. There's so many different pockets, so many different interests. There's like tons of different industry. There's all the diversity, and that takes a little more
Yeah.
work to understand each other. I love that. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I lived in the Bay Area for some years, and it has its pluses. It's like I lived in San Francisco for like 8 years. Beautiful city, great restaurants, all that stuff. But no, I mean, it doesn't have. It's like you said, the breadth. There's breadth and there's depth here. It's different. It's different. And most people think about Hollywood when they think about LA, but we're so like that's a small
uh,
part.
I never go to Hollywood. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't see celebrities. But you know what, though, Steven? I like the Bay too.
yeah.
I like the Bay Area a lot too, and I love when people love their cities. I have two coworkers that are from New York,
Okay,
and like they're like diehard, like love New York, you
okay.
know. And I love them for that. I love it. I love people when they love where they're from. And, it doesn't take anything away from LA or us. It's like additive, honestly. It makes me love my city more to hear them talk about, in that case with Jackie and Osman, my coworkers, like why they like New York so much. I'm like, that's cool. Like, I don't get that, but it makes me love LA even more. Like, that's amazing. And so, like, I think that that's like what I wonder about, why the current administration is so insecure about that, right? That because like Stephen, you and I are different people, but like you being yourself doesn't take anything away from me, man. I'm like, that's amazing. You do you. It's additive. And there's something, I don't know why people feel so like insecure about that. I don't know.
Is it? Yeah, no, totally. I remember like in college or something reading about in the future minorities will be the majority.
Hmm.
You think that's part of it? Just population wise, just voting power, just is there some fear around the unknown because it's different?
I think we're afraid of the unknown. It's a human tendency, probably. I mean, that's a fact. Like, I think Latinos will be the majority by 2050, I think, but I don't know. Like, I don't, that's why I love Los Angeles, because they had to learn from other people and they just make me better. And so, I don't. I understand why somebody might be afraid of like a perceived power shift, or like this person's going to take something from me. But I don't see things like that. Like, to me, it's not a pie. Like, it's the pie is growing, dude.
Yeah.
And so Latinos becoming the majority, to me, doesn't mean that we're not going to need anybody else. What the hell? Like, we're going to need help. Like, and we're going to need to join forces more. And I just believe in a multiracial solidarity. And I believe that when we forge that type of solidarity, it makes everybody better, even in our own identities, and it doesn't take anything away from me. And so, yeah, but I understand why people feel insecure about that. But that's a personal journey that folks are on, and I hope that they find healing with that. Unfortunately, I think in our society, like, I don't think that we talk about it enough, about why we're so afraid of each other.
Why do you think we're afraid of each other?
I think it's just difference. I think that you're afraid of things you don't know. Um, it's a muscle, I think, that you have to grow to be like interested in others and being able to contend with fear. In this moment, for example, right now, like, we are going through it, dude. There's so many groups that are going through it, and like the country's going through it. There's a lot of trauma. I mean, the PTSD that this generation is going to have after this moment is going to be tremendous, right?
Yeah.
And we don't know what's happening. Like, we don't know what's going to happen next. And the stuff that just happened this past month in LA, like, we didn't really imagine it. Like, we knew it was possible, sort of, but we didn't know it was going to happen in the way that it did. This moment is, for me, the way I'm thinking about leadership right now is that I am really trying to lock into being an adaptive leader and being comfortable with the fact that I don't know.
Mm,
And not only having comfort with the fact that I don't know, but also secure enough that I don't have to react to everything right away.
mm,
I'm building a muscle to be like, okay, wow, that shit's terrible. Like, I didn't like, there was another person abducted here. Like, okay, what am I, like, how do I respond to that? And what is the best way like, I'm trying to build a muscle for me to take a pause and collect myself and then engage, as opposed to just engage and respond to everything and go crazy. Does that make sense?
it makes a
So
lot.
that I think, so the adaptive leadership, I think, is just really critical right now, that all of us have to become adaptive leaders, because this is a changing landscape. We can't feel It's not going to be linear.
Mm. It's not going to be linear, meaning that it's going to be a little disorderly. It's not clean. It's stuff's happening and we're figuring it out. Or what do you mean by that? Not linear.
That we cannot forecast what's going to happen next.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so, sometimes my coworkers are like, "Oh, hey, like, can you tell me what's going to happen? Like, how do we plan for the next year?"
Okay.
Right. And what are the things that I'm expected to do in that time? And, I want to, these are the goals, and all I got to do is this work, and then I'm out.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes people want that because they want the security, and they don't want to be, they don't want to be surprised by anything, because it makes them uncomfortable to be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we're living in a moment where we have to build our capacity to be okay with the fact that we don't know what's coming tomorrow.
Okay. That
and,
resonates.
and we still have to be effective, and we still have to be effective, and we still have to be there for people, and we still have to take care of ourselves.
Mm,
But we can't expect that we know what's coming next, and we have to be ready. We just got to be on our toes. We have to be adaptive.
mm. How do you create that capacity? How are you doing it? Or what do you think what might work for other people?
Mm. I don't know. I mean, well, number one, you got to figure it out for yourself. Like, so I'm just like, I'm like reading, I'm talking to a lot of people,
Okay.
other people that I admire, just to share notes of, hey, how are you dealing with this moment? Or like, how did you make that decision to do that? Right.
Okay.
Um, Tell me, so I'm looking for advice and insights from others. I'm doing a lot of that.
Okay.
I'm reading. I'm also, and then I'm trying to use what I'm learning right away and make changes and observe, you
Okay.
know? Um, as an example, I believe in a type of leadership that's collaborative. I don't like necessarily, I'm the CEO of Inclusive Action, but I believe in a leadership approach that brings everybody in and is a leader full organization. It's not just one leader. Well, I'm learning about that and I'm trying different things. I'm realizing that at times, sometimes I'm too collaborative and it's unclear what to do and who's making the decision. That's not
Mm-hmm.
good. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm picking up, okay, well, maybe sometimes I do have to clarify what the rules are, and maybe sometimes I do have to be decisive. When is that? And I'm asking those questions and trying to get clear with folks. And so I think as I practice and experiment, I hope that I'm trying to model the behavior that I think is helpful during this moment. You
Okay.
know,
That
I don't
makes
know. I'm figuring it out. It's not as clear, but
no, that makes a lot of sense to me. I listened to a podcast you did with Mike Bonin, our former city council member, actually where I'm at, and you were talking about how we need a new playbook. This is unprecedented, you know. And I agree with that. I had dinner with some close friends on Monday, and that's what we were talking about. And that's what I've been noticing is that the old solutions need to be, yeah, like you said, adapted. There's so much going on so many fronts, and I think maybe you made that point in the podcast too, that you all were talking about that so many groups are dealing with so much change, to use a neutral word, but really are getting attacked.
Mhm.
So that's interesting.
You
Yeah.
have to be comfortable in that space. It's like really like Buddhist, you know? It's like you have to be comfortable in in the space of suffering and in the space of that is not clear. And it's like very scary, but like I'm trying to be okay with that. Like, okay, shit, this is terrible. And what does it feel like? Where am I? Like what's real, what's not real? And then how can I add value at this time? And then I'm also thinking about simplicity right now. Like, how do I simplify? You
Mm.
know, how do I keep things as clear as possible? Because there's already too much in the world right now, and so I'm trying to be as super simple as possible. Can I tell you a quick story about something that
Please,
happened to me this week?
please, please.
So, Stephen, like a week ago, I get this invite, or 2 weeks ago, I get this invite from person I don't know. They reached out to me through another shared friend who's an artist. And it's a guy named Samuel from the Performance Art Museum. It's like a new museum that they're starting, and his friend is an artist that I know, and then they're like, hey, we're doing this taco, like they're doing like a taco night. Okay,
Cool.
would you come and speak to our audience of artists? It's going to be pretty informal, like come through. And so I was like, sure. Okay, so I did. I was free, so I went. I went. So he sent me the address like the day before. It's going to be here. I'm like, okay, it's like in Little Tokyo. I'm like, all right, so go there. I'm in Boyle Heights, so I drive over there at the end of the day. And then I'm looking for the address. I'm like, what the hell? And then it's like, wait a minute, it's a parking lot. And I see the taco vendor on the corner. They said there was gonna be tacos, but it's a parking lot. I roll into the parking lot. What the hell? Like, is there a building? Like, where is this panel gonna be at? So then I get out of my car and then I see like people like walking around, and then I'm like, oh shit, this is happening in a parking lot. And then Samuel, who I hadn't met in person or even seen him on Zoom, comes up to me, you're Rudy, hey, welcome, welcome. And they had like parked a couple of cars to block off this area in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And he's like, you want to get tacos? Tacos over there. Go out. It's on us. They set up like folding chairs, like in a circle in the parking lot, Stephen. And they had me and they had a guy named Andrew he's a new friend from Immigrant Defenders. And it was like, he's like, it's going to be 45 minutes panel, 15 minutes and then Q&A after with our folks. Everybody here is in a creative space, like 50 people there. And they had us talk about what's happening, what we're doing. And then there was a Q&A. And it was like so like simple, and I was so inspired. I haven't been able to express my inspiration with this guy to go to a parking lot to talk about economic justice, the ICE raids, and like what this community of creatives can do to help. And it reminded me that we don't need a lot. We don't need a lot to do good things, you know? And we don't need a lot. We already have what we need to be adaptive. And here are these artists that are like, we don't need no crazy building or like, some, you know, Dolby sound to like project our voices. We're gonna be here in this parking lot. You get your car, park it right here. We're gonna block this off, get some tacos from the street vendor, and then we have the mic right here, and then go ahead. Tell us what's going on. It was amazing. So anyhow.
That's I see a lot of beauty in that for a lot of reasons. I mean, first of all, and I love artists. I love artists. I mean, I'm like a latent artist. Like I rediscovered music over COVID, and it's everything. Like
Hmm.
like for any of us to
Yes.
tap into like our creativity is like everything. Like if everyone in the world made art, we'd probably have world peace. I don't know. I want to say, like so many
Yeah,
problems
I
that,
think that
you know,
I think artists see things differently, which was my call to them that day. Was like, hey, we are our culture is shifting in this country, and not in a good way.
right?
And the artists can help shape it and mold it into the way it should be. Hopefully, a justice-oriented culture. But yo, artists are crazy, dude. I mean, this group was like so impressive to me. I was just like shocked. Like I would never have thought about that though, Steven. Like I just never would have said like let's just meet up in a parking lot and it's gonna be fine. Get some tacos, we'll sit down. It was just so cool.
Yeah, what is it about it? Yeah, no, I mean that is cool, right? Because it's like it's proving a lot of points at the same time, yeah? Like this world's gotten so,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, back to
Yeah.
basics. Because that seems to be
Back to basics.
part of the core problem of where we ended up. Like it seems to me that the last 30, 40 years have been headed towards this point, have been tough. Like you work on developing local economies, right?
Hmm.
That seems like one of the best solutions any of us could partake in because money circulating with each other is powerful, right? It builds community,
Hmm.
right? It keeps people thriving, right? But if you have corporations, and I'll speak for myself, but if you have corporations who are worried about their stock price and always optimizing for profitability, sometimes you still get good results, but a lot of time you don't. And so speaking of Buddhism, like what's the book I read recently on Buddhist economics? Small is Beautiful. Have you read that book?
No,
Okay,
it's good.
it's good. It's from the 70s and it talks about it's like uh for any kind of business or economic enterprise, the goal should be to improve people's lives and not destroy the planet. And it's like, oh yeah, what a concept. I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
for reals.
right? And so local everything seemed to make sense. So I don't know. I wonder, to me, when I hear you say we did in a parking lot, it's kind of like says a lot of things like solutions are local, investing in the local economy is important, like going to farmers markets instead of um, going to farmers markets if you can, right? Seems important. What impact does that have on farm workers? Uh,
Well, I mean, I think that the other, one of the conversation I had, we have what we need, is what I'm getting
yeah.
at, and we don't need too much more. And there was a person after that taco thing in the parking lot that was asking me about what I thought about Zoran Mamdani, the person
Yeah.
that's in New York. And they asked like, who is our Mamdani here? Like, do we need someone like that in Los Angeles? And I was like, well, like I think we have at least one of those Mamdani candidates here. I was like, I think my council member in the first district is a person that is, extremely values aligned and is trying to move systems, and there's others, but the question that I have for her is, are we willing to support them? And are we willing to work alongside them to advance some of their goals, like as opposed to finding one hero, right? Because Zoran, if he wins in New York, is going to need a coalition of people. that are going to stand with him, I hope. And then his job is to make sure that he's, committing to that group too. But I think all of us have a role to play, and it doesn't have to be so hard. It's not, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to, anybody can contribute, just like the bartender in Los Felices doing a cocktail for the street vendor fund. Like he's a bartender, he's good at doing that, and he's like, this is what I can give. And I worry that at times we're looking for like one solution or something really big to change our world. When I think what we have is probably enough. We just have to like commit to it.
As opposed to one hero, each of us doing our part. And even
Yeah,
in history, when we talk about different heroes, there were a lot of people who were part of that movement, those movements, right? If you talk about like Gandhi, MLK, there were people, tons of people.
totally,
Yeah. But you,
totally,
but
totally. And I
yeah, please, no, go ahead.
no, I know that's nothing to add.
But I mean, when I was having dinner with my friends Monday, we were talking about leaders, Latino leaders, and we know there are great local leaders. But we were talking about that. Yeah. So it's interesting to get your perspective. Like usually in the past there has been one face, but maybe we're in a different world where it's not that way anymore. Maybe because of the way media's gone, you got all these different influencers, and maybe it's a lot of people, and maybe it is acting locally as opposed to like Cesar Chavez or Malcolm X or MLK.
Yeah, there's something about the human condition that leads us to like worship an idol, you
Mm,
know? And I wonder about that too. Like all of us want that. Like when Zoran won his primary, like come on, dude. Like I don't know. Like people on the left or progressive were excited, right? And as
yeah,
including me, right? And there's something about that that like gets us excited, and we want to follow along, or a musician or anybody, right? That we get excited about. And I just wonder about that. Like what is it about us that is like looking for somebody to save us or to be our leader or like to worship? And I don't know. Like I think that I'm going through my own journey on that. I know for a fact that those leaders need help.
yes,
And they need us. And we all have a role to play. Even currently with Mayor Bass, right? Like there's a lot of critique of the mayor, and I have critique too, but I see myself also just going into the abyss of just critiquing,
yeah.
and I'm looking for someone else to save us. But no, we have a role to play. And then when I examine myself, I realize, wait a minute, Rudy, you're not doing everything you're supposed to be doing either, dude. You know, as an Angelino, as a volunteer, you're not talking to your neighbors in the way you should to get them involved. Like governance requires everybody.
Get the speck out of your eye first. Yeah. Uh,
Yes, sir.
I
Yes.
I I was disappointed in the mayor until about a week or two ago, and I think
Hmm.
that she's impressed me in the last week or two because before that I was thinking somebody should challenge her, and
Hmm.
and I felt that our leaders in general were overwhelmingly getting steamrolled, like just getting steamrolled. But what I realized is, um, you know, this is hard for everyone, including them. Like they're scared too. And I've been impressed with her courage that she's stepping up. I mean, we'll see. I think probably that also has to do with other people advocating, but I don't think I see she has a good heart. I see she is stepping up. I had my criticisms. I think she comes from a generation of politicians that um, are different. That like Mamdani, he's so authentic,
Hmm.
and he's in the social media world. When she came up, it was different, and maybe they're a little more
Right.
reserved. But I like what I'm seeing lately from her.
I think that you should continue to critique her. I think all of us should. I mean, I think it's part of democracy as it should be.
Yeah,
But we shouldn't stop there. I think that like I feel like we need to help her. Like her winning, her success is our success, is what I believe. I want her to win. And this is I don't mean it. I mean it like philosophically, not necessarily like the campaign. I mean like I want her to win because if she does good, it's good for Angelinos.
yeah,
And I know that we have a role to play in that. And so in the short, medium term, I am committed to like helping as best as I can because I want my city. I care. I'm an LA. I want LA to win, dude. You
Right.
know. So,
Right.
um, but also with the government, like federal issues too. It's like I think people think, oh, we're voting for this person and they're going to solve all our problems. I just don't believe that. They're not. They're not. They can't. It's impossible. We have a role to play, and I'm awakening to that now, Stephen. Like even more than ever before, of like, yo, all of us have a role to play. Like, don't get it twisted. Like we gotta roll up our sleeves and get in.
There's some real meaning and beauty in that, right? Because so I'm half Mexican. On my mom's side, I'm Mexican. My grandfather's from Durango. She's from El Paso. On my dad's side, I'm Jewish British. You know,
Mm,
and but I was raised by my mom, and I
mhm,
view the world through her eyes, and that
mm,
and I'm like an East Side LA kid mostly, so I view the world
mhm,
through her eyes. But I gotta tell you, like the more they attack our people, the more Mexican I get. like
mhm.
like I don't know. The more Chicano I get, the more I start looking into our history. The more I want to remind myself of our pride, and the more pride I have, and the more I connect with other Latinos in a deeper way. Like this
Mm.
attack, I think is going to backfire um, in some way, if only metaphorically, if only spiritually. Like it's going to backfire because they're bringing us closer together. You know.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that's true. And I wonder, like, in your journey to find yourself and to learn more about yourself, I see that in a lot of other friends too. Like, people are like, "What? Why are they attacking me? Like, what is it about me?" And they're going through a journey of learning more. And I don't know, like in my journey, that ongoing journey of learning about myself, it makes me love others more, you know? Like like it's like when I see other people like get infatuated with their own culture, whether it's like European culture, Latin America or African or whatever it is, like I love that because I know what it means to me.
Yeah.
Like me being proud to be who I am, like is so filling that when I see someone else learning about themselves, I'm just like, go shit, that's amazing, dude. Like, get that, you know, because I know how it feels. And to me, it's just all additive. Does that make sense? It's like
Yeah.
this, that's what I'm saying about the pie thing. Like, me being proud of who I am doesn't take anything away from you. My hope is that it inspires you to find yourself too. And then we realize that we're all more powerful together, you know?
Yes. No, yes. Because every culture has a beautiful history. We've all survived this.
Everyone.
Every culture has a great story.
Totally.
I was learning about the Chinese civilization last week, learning more.
Mm.
I mean, I grew up like mostly in Monterey Park, so I had a lot of friends
Hmm.
from Taiwan and stuff. It's like, yeah, what, 70% Asian, but like, I mean, that's a civilization that's been around for thousands and thousands of years. They've been through a lot. Um,
Yeah,
that's beautiful history. Yeah, everybody has beautiful history. I like that.
everybody does.
So what's going on, man? What's going on? You have a front row seat. Like what what's going on with these ice raids for people who don't live in LA, aren't close to it? What are you seeing?
Well, I mean, the last month we've seen, and I'm using this word intentionally, terrorism in our neighborhoods. We are seeing and have seen like random abductions of people that with no warrants, which is illegal, and they are racially profiling people that might look like us and say like that person doesn't look like they belong here. We're taking them. And the scary part is that it takes days and days to figure out where those people were taken. We're seeing not only attacks on those community members and their families, we're seeing a ripple effect in the wider community of people that are afraid to be outside because they also don't want to be abducted. We're seeing a really big impact on our economy. Inclusive Action is a small business lender, and so we're seeing from our small business borrowers that a lot of them are struggling right now. They're not seeing customers come in through their doors. they have bills to pay, and they're worried about how they're going to make their rent and take care of their family during this time because the economy is being depressed right now because of the fear. We're seeing organizations be attacked. Chila is one of our, the luminaries in the immigrant rights world here in the country, but especially in Los Angeles. And Chila is like one of the main forces trying to defend our neighborhoods and doing a lot of work, a lot of rapid response work, a lot of resources to folks that are struggling. um, their leadership has been at the detention centers trying to find people and trying to connect them back to their families, and they're getting attacked. We saw letters, public letters from the Senate to investigate them. And when the initial protests were taking place in downtown LA, there was a lot of uproar in the media about the LA was being burned down, and that's why Trump sent the military. And it's all hysteria and like it's theatrics. But the real stuff that's happening is that the organizations on the front lines are being attacked. And that's scary. And I think that they're being attacked because I know the administration knows that these organizations are important to people, and they're trying to cut everything down at the knees here. And so that's pretty scary. The latest news, I'm sure you heard, Stephen, this is July 17th, a week ago, almost a week ago, 6 days ago, a judge, Chila and various groups sued the administration to stop the raids because they're illegal, and the judge granted them a temporary restraining order last Friday. So things seem to have quieted down, but I heard that I don't know all the details of it. My other partners would know more, but there's an appeal process I heard, and so like that might be coming. And there's also just rumors of this is going to start up again and might be worse because also what happened in the last week was that Trump was able to pass his bill, HR 1, what he called the Big Beautiful Bill, that is putting billions of dollars into ICE. So they are going to hire up an army of people, literally, to go out and take people across the country. You know, so there's just like a ton of fear, and I got more bad things and on like we're seeing, but that's kind of the headlines I think from that's on everybody's mind. Back to like circle up, Stephen, on what we talked about. It's like, how do we operate in this moment, right? Like we are very committed to what we do. We're unashamed of who we are. We're not scrubbing our website. We're not grappling with how to speak up. We're speaking up because this is our community, this is our city. Um, but we're also like trying to build our capacity to deal with change and to adapt and to stick together and keep things simple. Meet in parking lots. Be careful what we communicate. Be more creative about how we help people during this moment when folks don't want to come outside. I mean, how do you get cash to people? For example, we're doing a cash assistance for street vendors, but they don't want to come out. They're afraid. And so we have to think about ways to support them despite these challenges.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some of the solutions you're finding so far?
I think that the solutions that we are finding are in solidarity. So, like, I think that we are finding a lot of optimism and value in partnerships. We think we're seeing new partnerships forming to help people, which is like really cool. We think that that's sustainable, and that's how we support each other,
Like with
right? And
different
so
NGOs are different. Yeah.
different nonprofits coming together, but not even just nonprofits, like businesses saying, "Hey, can I help with that? Like, let me help this week, and you could take next week." So there's all these mutual aid groups and networks that are forming, which is amazing. That's part of the solution. The second part of the solution is documentation and storytelling, right? So like it's about this is the artist again, right? But just anybody could tell a story, and it's documenting what's going on, telling the story, because I think in our media landscape, it's so decentralized now, right? And so it's no longer necessarily just the big news outlets. It's like it's Instagram and TikTok. And so the more we can become storytellers and say, hey, this is what's really going on, let me, that's I think helpful and part of the solution to change the narrative and change culture. I think lawyers are important.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm not saying that just because I'm here with you, but like I do think that like the legal strategy is like one way to open up the narrative, right? To get it out into the open about what's going on, but also to try to stop some of this. So the TRO, the temporary restraining order that happened last Friday, is it going to be ultimately successful? Like, is that case going to be ultimately? Who knows? We don't know. But it's a huge win. It's a huge win that there's a temporary restraining order that's basically trying to pause this. That's huge. And so lawyers and legal work, I think, is really important. And so like public counsel, Chile has a legal defense team, immigrant defenders, like there's all these other organizations that I think are like they need resources to keep going. I think I heard that there's a lack of legal counsel for folks that were detained and their families. So
Yes, 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 yes.
yeah, I've heard that.
Yes, I thought you
Yeah.
meant like the
So
advocacy, like more on the like policy advocacy side. But you're saying, yeah, for people in detention centers, yeah, they're getting the immigration attorneys are getting flooded.
well, it's both. It's both, but
Oh,
yes,
okay, okay.
definitely. I'm talking about the people in detention. Yeah, I think a lot of organizations are just also like I think we just need good legal representation generally. Because on the NGO side and the nonprofit side, some nonprofits are getting targeted, as I shared, but then also some nonprofits are worried about what they can do, right? So they're kind of they want to engage, but they don't know how. And so what I've been telling people, Stephen, is like talk to a lawyer, get super clear about what the law allows you to do and what it doesn't, and then have that help illuminate your path. But don't make assumptions about what you can and can't do. You shouldn't make assumptions.
Feel free to send any of them my way. By the way, I mean, I'm a business attorney, so if there's any more I
Okay.
can help, if you think, feel free. On the
Okay.
immigration attorney side, do you know if there's like a vetted list of immigration attorneys people can go to? Because not all attorneys are created equal. Do you know if there's anything like that?
Yeah, I am not sure, but if anybody's curious, I would probably reach out to immigrant defenders, public counsel,
Okay.
Vet. These are trusted organizations that are those are the people that I call. Like I call public counsel like all the time for everything, and sometimes they can help, or sometimes they know someone that can. And so, yeah.
They're pretty awesome. They are they 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 did the litigation for your current lawsuit against the IRS, yes? Public counsel?
No,
No.
no.
Is that wrong? Okay.
Close though. So the organization we're working with, so we Inclusive Action joined a lawsuit this year before this stuff was going down with against the IRS to stop the IRS sharing data with ICE
Yeah.
on immigrant taxpayers. So that is ongoing litigation, and our lead litigant are public citizen. So it's close.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I read it fast on my phone. Yep.
Yeah, Public Citizen,
Yeah.
they're a consumer advocacy organization based in DC. So their legal team is representing us.
Okay. I'll check that out. And I followed that case from the beginning, and I saw you were denied the TRO. I also saw the judge was appointed by Trump. And
Mhm.
I know it's ongoing, so I won't ask you much about it. But and if anybody's curious, check out that podcast you did with Mike Bonin. You talk about your decision to do it. You wrote an article in Nonprofit Quarterly. So if anyone's curious, uh, check that out. It's an interesting conversation. You mentioned storytelling as like the second solution. I'm really interested to learn more about your thoughts on that, like what you mean by that, and why that's important, and who we're trying to impact with the storytelling. Because I think about that a lot.
I think that storytelling can help us get our point across in a different way to people. And I feel like it could be more digestible for folks. And I think that if our stories are grounded in reality and they're grounded in the real people that we have proximity to, like they could be really powerful to change culture and change minds. And so, not even change. I'm not even going to say change minds, shape them, because I'm not even walking right now trying to change people. But I do want to help inform them and give them another data point. And the way that I'm trying to lean into that is through stories, like, hey, let me tell you a story about what happened here. And like, this is what they experienced. So you might think it's good, but this is what I saw, you know. Um, like even the parking lot story that I told you about these artists, like it's my story of the week. Like I'm telling everybody, like, can you believe they did this in a parking lot, all random and simple, like creative, It didn't take a lot. What can we do like that? What's our parking lot setting, And so I think storytelling is just really powerful, man. And it's also like ancestral, like that this is like how all our ancestors, no matter what culture you're part of, they told stories and they passed them down verbally and they're intimate, And so I don't know. That's what I think.
It makes a lot of sense to me. Now I'm
One thing that I'll share with you is that I think,
please.
oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I
no, no.
heard or I understand that like the administration, should I go?
Yeah,
Yeah. I understand that the administration understands the power of stories. And so, like, I've seen, we've all seen clips of like Secretary Noem and the ICE agents. Like, sometimes they have cameras following them because they're trying to tell stories of what they're doing. And we know that those stories are not true. We know that it's very theatrical, but like, can we tell real stories, in the same way?
makes a lot of sense to me. It's one of the reasons I wanted to start having this kind of format to talk to people um, in a deeper way about who we are, what LA is like, how this is impacting people, and yeah, I think storytelling is the way to go. I mean, like protest music. There's more protest music coming out. That's another tool,
Mm,
and like artists, musicians can help themselves. They feel something, they write about it. I see a lot of protest music coming out. But it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, what I've been thinking about in my mind is like when it comes to winning hearts and minds, do we want to win hearts and minds of people who already think that these raids are wicked and want to do something about it so that we can mobilize them and tell this story like the parking lot story and say, hey, you can start simple, you don't have to have fear? Or
mm,
do we want to reach manga supporters or maybe people in the middle who are just kind of neutral? Or is it just you tell the story and it reaches everyone?
mm. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know either. What are you doing to take care of yourself personally? I mean, this is like a hard time. You mentioned your team's working hard. Do you have like a routine that works well for you on the personal front?
I I have a routine. Yeah, I have a routine. I believe in daily routines and rituals, and so mine is like pretty simple. Like I try to go to bed around the same time every day and get up at the same time every day, even on weekends. I do the same thing every single day, which is like make my coffee. I'm trying not to look at my phone. I'm trying to like read something like a physical book for a little bit. Then I do some exercises and then I go to work, But the it sounds like so simple, but like the practice of doing that every single day in the same order is helpful to me to center myself for the day. Because as I shared, I don't know what's coming necessarily in the day. Like there's always some kind of a surprise typically, right? And usually it's small, sometimes it's big, and at least I can control that piece of the day. Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
this is like the stable foundation, and then the rest. I've been like, all right, shit, I'm ready to roll. Like whatever's coming, I'm ready to go. So that's part of what I do to take care of myself. Those little rituals. I like to run, so running is like something that I was hurt last year. I'm like in a mode of healing and trying to get back into it, but running or being active is like really good for me. It's just something that helps me get my mind off things. And then I like taking photos, Steven. I don't know if you know that about me, but I like taking pictures, which I'm also trying to pick up more on the weekends in a serious way because I know I need something else. And then the last thing that I'll share is that yeah, my photos.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, I like taking pictures. The last thing that I'll share for folks that are gamers is that I like playing, that sometimes I just need like 15 minutes on the PlayStation. And then that's like a little bit of a break of the day. I don't know what it is. It's like just like a centering on something else for a little bit. And then it's enough for me to kind of reset and then I'm able to come back. It's weird, but
How can
and
you
I
do?
always play the same game. So it's like I'm not like doing anything different.
Yeah, how are you able to cut yourself off after 15 minutes?
I don't know. I just don't. I just know. It's just like, oh, I think that's good. I mean, it's enough now, you know. So I used to have more of an addictive personality with video games when I was younger, but not anymore. I guess it went away.
That's good. Yeah, when I first was thinking about doing my startup and I knew it was going to be stressful. I asked a startup friend, I said, "What do you do to deal with the stress?" And he said, "I do two things. I make my bed every morning because that's the only thing I can control." And
Mhm.
he said, "I meditate."
Mm.
Those are his two things. My routine's kind of like yours: coffee and then reading and then exercise. I meditate now. That helps me. I pray.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah, I'm looking for the prayer strategy also. Yeah, the meditation is like an off and on thing for me. It requires discipline, you know, but I think every when I'm in a groove with it, it's very helpful. It's a fact.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been praying more lately as the world's getting more complicated. I started rereading the Bible. It's different reading it
Mm.
as an adult. It's fascinating. I mean, I think every religion has something to offer. Just like you were saying, every culture has something to offer. I think every civilization, every religion has wisdom. And I mean, since I was
You
raised,
know,
yeah,
what were you raised? What religion?
I was raised Jewish till I was 12, and then Catholic. My mom's Catholic, and then baptized Christians.
Oh, crazy. Okay. Um, I was Catholic, then we were like evangelicals for a while, and then I've been sort of lost for the last 20 years exploring different religions. But like you, the last year I've kind of like come back to like Christian based like thinking and uh right now I'm reading this book by Richard Rohr. Do you know him, the Catholic theologian?
Yes, amazing. Yes,
Yo, Richard Rohr, like that guy is like blowing my mind, dude. Um, because he's like the way he thinks about Christianity and prayer specifically is exactly what I know to be true in my heart. But in church, like it wasn't taught that way. And, you know, for folks that are curious about this, like a couple of the highlights from what his writing is about is he talks about how prayer or the act of prayer has been like all the goodness of it has been extrapolated and it's become so formal and you have to say these certain words and all these things. But like he believes that prayer is like a tuning fork, is what he says, like a tuning fork to tap into the creator and it's an attitude, is what he says. Like praying is an attitude. And if you look at it in that way, you could pray all the time. Like you can be praying as you walk, as you work, and like it's like a prayerful, like it's an attitude. It's like you're the tuning fork is like you're trying to tap into something deeper than yourself and what you're seeing. And I'm like, bro, I'm vibing with that. I want to be that way. Like I want to be operating with a prayerful attitude and trying to tap into something different. And like it's just he has like a mystical way of seeing Catholicism, which I really appreciate.
I love that too. Yeah, I love that too. Like as I go along in life, I resonate with mysticism. I resonate with that wisdom. And as I research
Hmm.
more about Jesus's original teachings, there are a lot of scholars who say that that he had more mysticism in his teachings than maybe the modern some of the modern churches present, and
Mm.
that kind of grooves with me. I kind of dig it. I don't know. It's not for everyone. I live in LA. You know, I spent a little time in Venice. So I kind of dig it, but I think there's like yeah, real wisdom in that. So yeah, I was going to ask you what you're reading. So is that what you're reading in the mornings, Richard Rohr?
Yeah, right now I'm reading Richard Rohr. The book is called The Naked Now.
Okay.
Um, and then there was another Richard Rohr book that I that was called was about belonging that I just listened to. So I'm reading The Naked Now, but then I have just listened to another Richard Rohr book about belonging. I think it was called like We All Belong or something. And that one was the one talking about prayer, which I thought was really powerful, you know.
I'm
Everything Belongs is the book. I just looked it up. Everything Belongs.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the misconceptions about Democrats, because what I've noticed about MAGA is that they assume anyone who's against ICE raids are Democrats, but that's not true. I mean, I unregistered from the Democratic Party. I like your council member. I like Mamdani. I like AOC. I like Bernie, but I unregistered from the
Hmm.
Democratic Party, man. So,
Yeah.
but they assume that everyone who's against the ICE raids are Democrats, and I think they also don't realize how many of us are pious, and especially Latinos.
Mm.
Like how many Latinos are like Catholic, and like I see the same thing with
Yeah.
like Israel and Gaza. Like so many Gazans are devout Christians, you know, and people don't
Mm.
always they're not always aware. So I don't know. Have you thought about that at all, or seen any of that, or
We have a lot more in common than we have different. And so I wish that I think that what hurts us is that we're not proximate to each other, you know, and so there's more things that are trying to divide us and keep us together, you know. But I feel like the folks, if there was like some white folks in the South or you know, wherever they live and they came over and had dinner or like hung out with us, they'd be like, these guys are awesome. Like the hell, like we have the same opinions about things, like, you know. Um,
right?
so I 100% agree with that. And certainly on the religious tip for sure, especially like Latinos are very devout. I'm thinking about my family, like my mom is like so strict. She's so strict, dude. She doesn't like breaking any rules. Like I don't know, it's just crazy. Very strict, very conservative in their outlook, but she's also like, dude, these ice creams are terrible. Like, do they not understand? Like, we're here to work. And I think that what's fueling all that stuff is that like we get addicted to fear. It's easier for us to fear than to love, you know? And then when we're struggling, we project that on others. Like, if we're struggling with something in our lives, which many people are in this country, we're looking for someone to point the finger at.
A scapegoat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a powerful thing that we have so much more in common than we have differences. I mean, everybody wants the same thing in life. Everybody just wants the best life they can have. They want to find their passions if possible, right? They want family and friends, and then it gets all twisted somehow.
Hmm. Hmm.
Is what do you think? What do you think the administration's end game is?
I don't know. I think that I assume that, I mean, I don't know them, so I don't know, but like based on what I read and see, I think that Trump wants to make money, get money. And I think that in order to get money, he is surrounding himself with people that have other agendas. And he's letting them advance their agenda. And so like on the immigration stuff, you know, that's a Stephen Miller thing, you know, and I think that Trump is saying, I'm trying to get my, this is what I'm guessing here. I don't know. Like Trump is like trying to amass more wealth and power, and he's surrounding himself with people that could help him in his goal. And then he's also letting them go crazy with their own personal agendas, you know. Uh, what's sad to me about like some of these people is like Stephen Miller's a LA kid, he was in Santa Monica. And so I wonder about like what happened to him, like because he seems like just really hurt. There's like a deep-seated hurt and anger there, and it's vicious. And I wonder like what happened. Like what did he experience, that sort of shaped that for him? So I don't know. That's why I worry too about what's happening right now is like all the impact that it's having on kids because like it's shaping them in a certain way and we don't even know the impacts of that. It's going to be not good. And I worry about that.
Yeah. I wonder about how they think too. I mean, as best I can figure in this world, there are healed people and unhealed people. And I used to be unhealed. I mean, I guess I'm a lot more healed now than I used to be, I guess. And so, like, I try to have grace. I actually do try to pray for them. I try. I'm human. I'm angry, but I try. And I guess, yeah, hurt people. And I think like one of the biggest challenges is like when somebody's unhealed, they don't know it. They don't know.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. Steven, it's good to chat with you.
Great to chat with you. Thanks so much for taking the time. I really appreciate you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
thanks for all your work. And if people want to help based on some of the things you mentioned a few places they could donate. What's the best thing? They could go to your website, or what's the best way to help?
They could totally go to our website. Our Instagram is like popping with a lot of the latest stuff. So the Instagram is much more active than our website is. Right now, people can totally contribute to the LA Street Vendor Solidarity Fund. All that money is going to go to cash assistance to street vendors. Um, we are advancing a really important bill in Sacramento, Senate Bill 635, which is called the Street Vendor Protection Act, that is would prevent the state from sharing data with ICE on street vendors. Like these are street vendors that got their permits and went through the system. We don't want that data to go to ICE. So there might be a call soon to ask people to call their assembly member just to say vote yes. And then there's always a bunch of things, like there's always things happening with our partners. We try to share out a lot from our partners and what's going on. So they could tap in there.
Okay. Okay, beautiful. And for your photography, rudyespinoza.com.
Yeah, I mean that it's you could go there. It's an old website. It's still there, obviously. But you could see me on Instagram too. Rudy RUDYESPI Rudy SB on Instagram is where I keep my stuff. I'm trying to get better at posting.
Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, maybe another time we'll talk more about that. Thanks for taking the time. I know you're busy. You all are hard at work. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, see you later.